I make it rain on whoever. I make it rain at whoever.
That's the look, Karen. That's the only dance. I'm only fucking with the youngins with this one. Yeah, what's up?
Got to.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling blessed. How you feeling?
You know, I'm out here working out, Karen. You know, I got a couple weeks to get it all back.
I mean, technically they closed California again, so that was like the universe and God giving me a couple more months. So I'm gonna be on your level by January.
Yeah. Your nephew and him, his team, they started back AAU, and so they were working out heavy, and then now I'm like caught up in their workouts. So like I'm obsessed. Like I feel great. I'm proving that I can still hang. I'm not leading the pack anymore, but I'm hanging.
Are they doing like 2-a-days?
Yeah, they do 2-a-days. I do 1.
Okay.
Yeah. All facts, no cap. How you like? I feel like, you know, our people, we get to see each other at events and when we're moving around, and because we're sitting down, we just haven't seen each other. It's whack.
That's it is true, but at the same time, what I've been like telling people is, honestly, like the other day, you and I got to talk, you know, and did it just freeze? There we go. And for a very long time, I feel like we saw each other. Everyone sees each other at events. COVID is really making us listen, sit down, really listen to people's ideas, how they're doing. Now more than ever, because we're stuck inside, you know, we get to pick and choose who we want to quote unquote entertain or have in our life, or to engage with or answer the phone for. Because before I'd be like, all right, hello, what's up? Let me answer this. Now it's like, do I want to engage in this conversation? But it's, to me, it's a gift and a curse. But it has been beautiful, because I feel like the relationships have been so much more meaningful since I'm not ripping and running. And like I would see you at a club, a party, the airport, and that's it. It's like, hey, how you doing? Bye, see you later. Where now we can sit and engage and talk.
Yeah. No, I miss it all. I definitely. I was saying today, I spoke to a bunch of Generation Z, I think they're called now, right? Generation Z, right? So I did this whole Zoom call for, it's called Camp XI. Our friend Ryan Glover's son passed away in a boating accident. And so the foundation is for creatives, because he was a creative. And just sitting there talking to them, like catching that whole young energy and just kind of like going through the motions. It was like so like we are connecting in a different way now. And I really, really feel that, and emotionally.
For adults, I definitely think it is a great situation, because there's no other time where you're technically going to have a year off, where the universe is literally shifting and making us sit still. Who I do feel bad for, though, is that younger generation, that demo from, you know, 4 to 13, or kids who are graduating from college, who did all the work and they have no graduation. Like for my niece, who is heavy into, you know, activities, she can't do that. I want to make sure like she doesn't have social anxiety, because she's not out she doesn't talk to people anymore and sitting in front of a mobile device all day long. So I've just been finding ways to make sure that when they go back out into the world, that they still have some sort of human connection, because that's realistically what's missing. Is she's down on her phone like this all the time, and I just want that I want her to keep that human interaction of, even if we have our mask on, I still teach her and myself. I still look people in the eye, even though they can't see. I'm smiling. Hey, how you doing? Let's still engage and talk to one another as much as we can. We can't let COVID define us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do too. Like if you're having group sessions, Zooms, whatever, I'd love to talk to the babies. But I want to take people on the journey, because they're like, you know, not only are you one of the pioneers in the whole social medium by taking hip hop culture and pairing it with things that weren't the norm for us. I feel like you've become such a personality over the last 10 years, and rightfully so. And I'm very fond of you, because I'm much like myself.
Yeah.
You know, you have similar journey.
Yeah.
In defining who you are outside of the fray, outside of the people you work with, outside of what you
Yeah.
created for others. So I want to go on a trip. You're from Jersey, Elizabeth
Well,
City,
born in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
I'm a Brooklyn kid first, but
Okay.
unfortunately our school closed, which forced us to move to Jersey.
So Elizabeth, New Jersey, correct?
Yes, yes.
What was it like for young Karen? Because you're Haitian, of Haitian descent. What was it like for young Karen growing up in Elizabeth, New Jersey?
I'm gonna give you the very transparent answer. It wasn't easy. It wasn't how it is now, how people are so receptive to different races and nationalities and zones. It was segregated, but it was by choice. But like, to me, Haitian people are black. We're all the same thing.
100%.
But at that time, black people did not identify with me because they're like, oh no, you're Haitian. Then even though a part of my family is also Dominican, they're like Dominicans and Haitians didn't get along. Then it's like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans didn't get along. Haitians and blacks didn't get along. So our town was segregated by choice again. So I lived in a predominantly known area, which was up the street from the park. And my life for the first few years in Elizabeth was difficult because when you are when your parents are immigrants, they assume you don't speak English and they put you in ESL. So every single Haitian kid was in this class called 303. So when my mom went to enroll me, they were like, okay, we're going to put her in 303. My mom was like, I don't think so. My daughter reads. My daughter reads at at the time I was in the first grade. She was like, she reads at a fifth grade level. She speaks English quite fine. So you might want to give her a test, but you're not just going to put her
Right.
in an ESL class because you think that's what's best for her. And then in their response, they're like, well, you know, maybe she just wants to be with other Haitians. My mother was like, no. And my mom taught me very young. She said, no, I don't want you to just put her because you think that's where she belongs. No, put her where she needs to be. My daughter is educated. And it's unfortunate that you think all of these Haitian kids are not educated and you didn't give them a chance. So the first few years were hard. And then my brother is a year older than me, Mike. He ended up going to a gifted and talented school. So I was by myself. And it was rough because people would make fun of me, even the Haitian kids, because I wasn't in the 303 class. So they thought at the time they call you a Yankee, which is an American Haitian. So they would make fun of me, like literally follow me home, do certain things. Oh, you think you're better than us? I'm like, no, I don't think I'm better than anyone. That's not the case. My family and my mom just raised me to love myself. My confidence should not be a deterrent for you not liking yourself. It was like, I look back at it where I feel like all that taught me tough love, thick skin, identifying who I am, knowing who I am very early, because if I would have let society pick and choose for me, they would have made me settle for less. And that's unfortunately how society is set up for people of color, is they want less. They assume that we deserve less. So that was like the big thing. And then eventually, you know, I went to high school, did the whole 9. It was great. But my biggest concern was I wanted to get out of Elizabeth. I saw more for myself. It's nothing wrong with it. I have some great friends there, but I saw life outside of there and I was ready to go. I didn't follow the norm.
Yeah.
Just ready to go.
So in high school though, like by the time you got to high school, were you ready? Were you ready to take on the world? Because I know you went from Elizabeth to college. We're gonna get into that. Then your detour from college. But what was that like in high school? So you went through this. But it sounds like that was like the education you get in school, teaching you about people and how they treated you and how they reacted to you. But I think you saw your power by high school.
Yeah. High school, I will say, is I realized I needed to have the power to sustain the life that I wanted for myself, because it's terrible. High school did not teach me about who I was as an individual. And the American educational system at the time is set and was curated and created for white Americans, and I'm not taking anything away from it, but Black history, they teach you the basic things. Like, I just found out what Juneteenth was watching Blackish. They're not teaching me things like this. They didn't teach me about the Haitian Revolution, and us getting our freedom, Flag Days, and all these important things of, like, it didn't even have to just be Black culture, right. Just culture in general for other people, like Indian culture,
real history.
Real history, not the history that they made up that sounds appeasing and puts them in a better light. So I dealt with that a lot. And my mom used to come up to the school, and one thing I'm always going to love is she was my protector. Because I remember one year in the 10th grade, they had us do a paper on what we want to do when we grow up. And I said, I want to be a CEO. At the time, this is when the options were, you could be a doctor, a nurse, an assistant, you know, like one of those. Yeah. I said, well, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to be a CEO. I made a vision board and everything. And my teacher was like, Karen, huh?
Similar to the one behind you?
Yep. And my teacher was like, Karen, you're being unrealistic. She used to always say, I live in a fantasy. You're being unrealistic. Can you, for once, just write a normal paper? I said, fine. So I decided to, like, write the normal paper, which was, I forget her name, was like, I wrote to the effect of, this is what she wants me to write. This is what she says my life will be. Most likely, I basically wrote the stereotype of what she thought my life was. And I said, I hope you're happy that this is what you want my life to be. And turned it in. I got an F. They called my mom. My mom came in. My mom read it. She was disappointed. She said, are these your words? I said, no, these are her thoughts that I put into words on a piece of paper to appease her. But here are my words with what I see for myself.
This is in high school?
Yes, this is in high school. And what I loved about it is my mother took me out of the school. She made them apologize to me. And I'm never one to throw anything back in anybody's face, but everything that I saw for myself, CEO, I want from my dog to the car, to the career, to everything that was on that vision board, I got. So to me, manifestation and believing in yourself is real. And that's where my head was at so early on in high school. I was like, I'm not worried about people like, you're not going to the party or things. I'm like, yo, I don't care about this right now. I know this time right now is so important for me to start my career that I rather just be getting a head start right now. Because unfortunately, you know, with people of color, when you reach a certain age, you know, you're told to move out, have a job, have it all together. So I know that it wasn't going to be easy for me to do that. So I wanted to give myself a head start since I knew society wasn't going to give me one.
No, I love it. I mean, it's so crazy how you told that story about elementary school and just the systemic racism. I mean, that you just class because you're Haitian. But I love the confidence. You know, I always try to teach my mentees that confidence is the thing. And for you to challenge that teacher the way that you challenge her, and then to have to be thoughtful enough when your mom came, was like, yo, did you write this? And then to tell her why. And to then, this is what I really have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful. But I want to talk about this mentality, right? You have this, you know, this, I mean, you're only 35 now. I mean, then you were probably 35 in a 17-year-old body. But, you know, you have this thought process about what you want. And then you see hip hop. You see hip hop is making billions and billions of dollars. And you're in I'm talking about when it was on fire, you're in the, like, you're coming up. What was that connection like by the time you got to Union City College?
It was like, when I went to Union County, it was such a different world because it's like, I grew up, I loved Immature and the Backstreet Boys. And Dolly Parton and Whitney Houston. That's what my mama would only let us listen to in the house. And she eventually started letting us listen to Tupac because Tupac made Dear Mama a song for her. So that's what we could play in the car. So eventually she started letting us get into hip hop. But I fell in love with Angie Martinez. I fell in love with her voice because she was somebody who was able to, she just had this radiance about her where I dealt with like insecurities and not feeling like I fit in because it's like I said before, Haitian kids didn't identify, Black kids, nothing. but you just didn't know what Angie was. You
Right.
listened to her voice, and you saw how, like, anything that happened in the world. I remember 9/11.
Culture.
I wanted to know what she had to tell me, not
Right.
CNN. When Pop died, you know, Biggie, and just like things that were happening in culture. She was basically like our Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
And it just felt so good. And then eventually, this is when I really learned. Then she was like, I remember listening to this record, Ladies Night. My friend had like a cassette. She's like, yo, this is Angie Martinez on. I was like, no, it's not the same one from the radio. It's probably similar names. Like, no disrespect to her. But at the time I was like, you know, it's probably like a common Spanish name.
Yeah.
She was like, no, girl, this is Angie Martinez. And I said, what? She went, this is
Ladies
Angie
Night
on the
Fun.
mic.
Angie Name's on the mic, yeah.
Yes, I said. Then I saw her perform, and I said, oh my gosh. Then she put out an album, and that's when I realized we do not have to let a title define who we are in our careers.
Come on.
And Angie set that for me, because I'm like, everybody identifies and loves her. And when you see her, eventually I got it from Oprah too, but Angie more than anything, because Angie is the type of person, she goes to the White House, but at the same time, she is at, you know,
She's
a
up
march.
Dykeman.
Or yeah, she's on Dykeman and doing her annual BBQ events with the Coronas and the Dominoes. I love that about her. And I was like fascinated with Carson Daly, but she was that version, that woman of color. And she's the reason why it's like I started to change my mentality and stop thinking like, Karen, I need a title to define me. So I'm like, you got to leave that alone. I'm a CEO. I know it's hard to grasp, because as a Black woman, it's hard for people to see us as CEOs, but I'm like, that's it. I'm not so bent on the title, because at first Angie was a radio personality. She went into a rapper. She's an author. She's a philanthropist. She's a mother. She's an advocate. So it's so many different hats. And that's, and honestly, that's where it really like, it hit me when I started, was Angie got me in there and really just changed my thinking and how I see stuff for myself. And then I auditioned out for her apprentice contest for the second annual one. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. I made it into the top 3. I didn't make it, but Flex liked me, and I ended up being with Flex for a few years, and that was a great opportunity.
You went originally to Hot 97 to work with Angie.
Yeah,
I did
the contest, but she didn't pick me, and it was okay. And realizing with that, so many people are like, oh, I know you're mad. I'm like, listen, no, that doesn't mean it's over because this one lesson or situation didn't happen. I'm gonna take it as a lesson, and there's gonna be a blessing that comes from it. And the blessing was you. Sorry. He wants you to be a part of his show. So I got to go up there, learn records, learn just the business of it all, be up there for a few years. And it was such an incredible, experience. And I got to I remember Angie saying one day to me, and I'll never forget, she was like, you know what? I should have picked you. And
how
I
gratifying
literally went home and cried.
Yeah, how gratifying.
It was, but it wasn't a moment. It felt so good, but it wasn't a moment where I was like, I knew it. You should have been picked me. It was more like, you know what? Unfortunately, that wasn't my blessing. The person she picked, it was for them. But I'm glad that I'm glad that she saw me. So I was like, I'm glad that you see me in this space. And the great part was like years later, I believe it was, I think it was Nipsey, the first time ever, was performing at Summer Jam, and I have not seen Angie in a long time. And so great to see her, because here I was years ago in this one space trying to come up an opportunity, and now here I am with an artist that I manage on at this show for a station that I used to intern for. So that's 10 years in the making, but you know, hip hop, honestly, it brought me there. They're good and bad to it. Cause after I left Hot 97, because there was a cap. Flex, I'm in the digital
Yeah.
space, but unfortunately Flex was comfortable. And that's when I had the vision of, am I okay being here? Or am I okay with this glass ceiling? No disrespect to him at all, because he was great, but I want to continue to grow.
But you wanted more.
So at the time, Duke the God, who was the A&R, yeah, I wanted more. And I knew originally I loved the digital space, and I couldn't do that over there. So I went on to work with Dipset, which was such an incredible experience, and being able to work with Duke and create Dipset mixtapes, the t-shirts, like the first time really creating merchandising and everything from that. And then after that, from working there, I started my Karen Civil site, because I wanted to put so much into other people. I wanted to put so much into other people that it was time for me to work on myself. So that's what I did. I said, you know what, let Karen be a brand.
So Karen,
and KarenCivil.com was formed.
Yeah. So 2008, you create Karen Civil, and you sound like, as you started to, I mean, from elementary to high school, you started to realize there are going to be some roadblocks. High school, you figure out how to hurdle some of them, right? You get to college. Yeah, I'm a little too ambitious for this. Let me go try this real quick. Oh, the person I want to be in business with, didn't happen, but I can still be in the building. You start to see how being in the right place at the right time would propel you. I mean, if you look at your Angie moment when she came back and was like, Karen, like super excited, or told you that, I see you, like, you're dope, like you're gonna be good. Like, that's like the battery. Like when you idolize or look up to or adhere to, and it's like, yo, they see me, because that's what Andre Harrell and a couple others were. But by 2008, you really started to become your own personality. I remember you being Dipset crew, and didn't you go to Asylum after that or something?
No, Asylum was technically Dipset. It was the same thing. It was the same office. It was all in Warner. So
but
it was all on the same floor.
You realized during that time that it was you.
Yeah. That's when I realized, I was like, yo, I want to be me, because you try to plan stuff for people or do things. And I was like, at this point, I just want to be in control of myself. So I took a step back, where I got a regular job. And by getting that regular job, that helped me save money and save certain situations, so I can fulfill my overall new goal, was to launch KarenCivil.com, because I realized there was a need for it, because it was all this new talent that had nowhere to go.
Right.
Nowhere to go, no one to one who was amplifying them or doing anything. Because I remember walking into the Atlantic office one day, and Drake was just downstairs. And I looked around. I knew who he was because I watched Degrassi.
Right.
And I'm like, y'all don't realize that's Drake? To security?
Yeah.
And, I guess he was like waiting for, this is when Replacement Girls was getting ready to come out or something. And, Atlantic, Trey Songz was there.
Yeah.
So they were like waiting for, I'm like, this is Drake, right?
Right.
In my mind. And it's like those type of moments. And I realized that's who I want to start my site for. So one of the first people I've ever interviewed was Drake. Another one was J. Cole, because my best friend and him go to the same barber, and he gave me J. Cole's CD. He said, yo, my man Jermaine, he fire. Listen to this. Same thing with Mac Miller. I end up meeting him through what's his name? Young Chris.
Oh.
From State Property.
Yeah.
From Young Guns. So he had a show, and I ended up going, and that same best friend knew who Malcolm was. And then it went from there. I just started building relationships with new artists to give them a platform to do interviews and to showcase them. Same thing with J-Rock. And their labels and their managements, they appreciated that. And that's how the relationships formed. Me sitting and doing my first interview ever was with J-Rock, and they talk about it till this day. So I have a great relationship with TDE, because I came from a pure place. It wasn't, as soon as I started, let me hurry up and go get you know, the
Yeah.
hot new person.
Yeah. But you were also, what you were doing is, that's okay. But you were also
Yeah.
framing the new leaders of culture. If you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have like kept your head, on the
Mm-hmm.
swivel, you wouldn't have noticed Drake in that line. You wouldn't have took the advice of your friend
Mm-hmm.
Jermaine, which is Trey Songz. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and I want to go here first.
Yeah.
2010, I want to give you some props.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
free flowing because you're knocking out the entire list. But Little Wayne locked up in Rikers Island, and you created
Yeah.
.com and Wave for his fans and him to communicate. That shit
Yes.
was super dope because the only thing you could do in jail legally is go online with your email, correct?
Yes. I just turned around real quick to find the letters for you. I still got them. These are
Oh
all
shit.
Wayne's letters. He used to write to fans and everything when I started Wheezy Thanks You. These are all the letters. And I told myself I'm going to try to upload them. So maybe some of his fans whose names are in here, they can read it. But I saw a few celebrity names in here, which was interesting. But that was one that honestly was a pinnacle. And that really helped transcend my career to another place because the conversation started with Mac Main, who is, I will say, a visionary, who is somebody who absolutely is just such an amazing person in my career and just an overall great person. So he knew I was trying to start my own agency branding company. And he called me and he said, listen, Wayne got all these letters. And I was like, okay, what you telling me for, kind of? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he can't write everybody back. So yeah, you got a company, right? I said, yeah. He said, so figure it out. And I was like, okay. He was like, all right, beloved. Hung up the phone. So then from there, I put some ideas together. I presented Wheezy Thanks You. We spelled it with an X. So it's more of his how he normally types. We launched it on Father's Day with exclusive pictures and a letter that he wrote. And he would just send me letters every month, and he would answer 100 fans. And then I would have to transcribe it online, and the fans would see it. So it was a great way to continue to keep conversation around him while he was gone till November. A great thing about that is, which I didn't even realize, I was doing this because I love Wayne and I wanted his fans to keep in touch with him. But from that 2010 moment, I woke up one day, I was like in the saddest of saddest days, and my TV happened to be on, and I saw a picture of myself, and I was like, why is there a picture of me on the TV? I thought it was like some screensaver thing. And it was Sway talking about me, and they gave me MVP Hip Hop Person of the Year for 2010 for all the work I did with Wayne. And I just was just like, and then I went to the grocery store and just picked up my normal magazines, and I'm flipping through Vogue, and Vogue gave it Best Blog. And I said, if this is a testament to God, on the days that day I felt sick and wanted to give up, I was very tired and I was over it. But then God showed me to stay in the game. And it's just like, you see the signs. Those were two signs. And it's not, I don't necessarily want people to think like accolades from other people are the signs, but to know that your hard work is being seen. Wayne having the #1 album in the country for Rebirth. He has the Guinness Book of World Records for most amount of likes and fastest amount of likes for Facebook. So now when people see these things, they're thinking, what agency did he work with? And they find out it's a Black girl from Brooklyn living in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Hello?
So yeah, so that's why I'm big on, don't label us. You don't know what we're capable of doing and the things that we can do, because people would have never thought, even when I had like my first meeting at Beats, because Beats was so intrigued by me, and they were like, oh wow, okay.
That's how I
Like,
used to get my headphones, baby.
like they were like, oh shit, it's a Black girl who did this. And I had to deal with it. were okay with going, oh shit, surprised that a Black girl can do this, that means that they were changing their mind frame and realizing people of color can do anything. So
And
let's
I
start
think,
opening the door for
yeah, I
more.
think people don't realize how many superheroes came out of that cluster from Beats. Like, you guys at Beats at that time
Yes.
were mobbing. I'm talking about, and it was several Black women in play. But how was that 2011 to like 2015, right?
Yes. It was 2011 to 2016. So it was tough. I'd say I was the 12th employee. We were out of the Interscope office. It was very different for me. Because I thought it was going to be like, you know, big office, this and that. I was the only female of color. It was a little bit hard. I missed my mom. I missed my significant other. You know, Omar was barely in the office. I didn't identify with anyone. But instead of looking at the glass half empty, I just looked at it as full. And one of the first guests ever, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me because I'm about to mess up. Brian Michael Cox.
Yeah, Brian
He
Michael.
came, he came to see Karen Kwok's office was on the other side. So what I started to do is, I knew, you know, Karen was working on a whole bunch of new projects. So celebrities, producers, and people would have to, we shared the same waiting room. So when they would wait to come see her, I would go, that's when I would find a Black friend. So Brian Michael Cox was the first person ever to see me, to have a conversation with me, to get a pair of Beats. And it made me feel so good because I can be frank, because a bitch was ready to go home. But I sat and I talked with Brian, and he poured so much into me, and he probably doesn't even remember, but like, he was the best thing ever. And then that's when I realized, I was like, you know what, Karen? As artists come into town, I'm just going to invite them to the office and start doing things like that. But we eventually moved. The spaces got bigger. Omar really started to amplify me, and they realized how I work with my ideas in certain things. And they started adding more to the team. At the time, I was the 12th employee, and it grew bigger and bigger. And I was able to save them over 50 million. So it's one of those things of really just, my thing for there was not staying on top of what's hot right now. Let's connect with people who are on the verge of coming up, who are making things happen, who really utilize the products. Like you said, like, if I'm doing a pitch, I'm gonna put you in there. You know why? Because you're everywhere. You are the common person who utilizes the product. So I was able to really like push my ideas. They were good and bad, but the great thing is they allowed me, instead of just being the only one, they allowed me to hire outside, and hire other people of color, other, not just of color, younger people, not worrying about who has, if this hangs up, I'm a call right back. But not worrying about, I wanted to give people a second chance, because there were people who may have had a DUI or a small charge or something like that. I'm like, we got to give people opportunities. So that's really what I got to do up there for a bit. And then it was honestly, it was time for me to go. There was a particular person there who was not a fan of me. And when I say that, is he wasn't a fan of my ideas. I don't think he equated my drive, my ambition. He saw it more as, you know, they see, instead of using words like drive, ambition, she's goal oriented, she's like super enthused. Right. He would be like, she's difficult, or she's a bitch. He wouldn't say the B word in front of me, but it felt like a racism issue.
Well,
So
let me tell you something about your superpower that scares people, because you're big as well. Sometimes people don't know how to quantify you, and it disturbs them because they think they know everything there's to know about what you're doing, what you're supposed to. And I think a lot of times, you know, and this is what the problem I have with the generation right above me. I think that, you know, it is our responsibility as real culture curators to teach the next generation, not when they've learned it all and it's rightfully their time, but when you like you said, if somebody saw Karen Silver early and said, Karen, here's the keys to the thing. It's like my phone call to you the other night. I don't know what your plans are, but I have, but that's what his problem was. His problem, he didn't have the vision to see why. Because one thing about lifestyle marketing, right? And with this, you're great. Lifestyle marketing has a lot to do with human connection, and a lot of people don't have that small trait. And they really don't understand the power in it, how it moves mountains, how it takes. You seen Drake in the live. Drake's type motherfucker, he will never forget that. Not only will he will not forget it, he will fucking be all the way up, be like, Karen, got this thing. So my thing is, those things sometimes go unnoticed. A lot of times in business, people don't respect it, but his law.
But what I'll say too to add is I have those notions and those thoughts, because I do say, you know, because with me, I say, you know I can be quote unquote hard to read, or some people may not know how to approach it, but your insecurities is not my factor. You wanting a black woman to be good and not great is a problem for me, because if I was a white female, you would have never gave me that smoke. You would have never questioned me. He questioned me about things. Don't question me about my culture. See, what I'm not going to do with you, Kenny, I'm not going to talk to you about cigars. I'm not going to talk to you about cigars. I'm not going to talk to you about the building of homes, how you raise your family, about a wife, things that I know I'm not privy and super educated on. Right. When it comes to my culture and something that was created by a black man, and this is a black woman, and I've put numbers on the board, and you come into it from an outside company, beverage company, and now you see a problem where you're like, hold up, I don't want to amplify this black girl. I don't feel comfortable amplifying this black girl. So you know what this black girl is going to do? This black girl is going to go from being an employee to turning you into a client. I'd rather do that, because I want to wear my Hello Kitty pajamas at home and not have to deal with your views and your skews on how you see on why you don't see success for me because the color of my skin. I can't change that. I can't do anything about that. And I feel like that was a big thing. And I never talk about it because I still have a great relationship with the people there, because everyone else there amplifies me. Like Veronica, Sarah Joyce, Erica Priestley, everyone.
Listen. I
was like,
can you hear?
I'll my energy, my perseverance, and it's just my sanity is worth more than any amount of dollar amount, any amount. And I still can move on and go to another place. You're stuck here, buddy. You're stuck here. Me, I'm a go live.
I love the passion and vigor in your voice. You want to be like, bitch, please. But one time for my girl, she's in the building. Karen, hold on, it's not over. I just want to celebrate.
Roll another one.
We had a little music break on that. Fuck him and fuck all the people like that.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
I can't even see him perform.
That deserved a music break. Like, I felt your passion. I felt your energy, and I want to slap the shit out of him, you know, because I'm still a gangster, you know. I can't.
But you know those places of just those people where it's just like your confidence. My confidence should not be an insecurity to the next person.
But Karen, hold on, I gotta get my bobbleheads for this one. You know, people don't want to see it, Karen.
Well, guess what?
No. I just want to share with the people watching. You know this, but people don't want to see it, because if they see you and amplify you in the deserving way that you are due, then what happens to them? They become obsolete. But that's why I applaud you. That's why I always
thank you.
I don't even, and you can tell the world. I call you when I got something for you. I call to check on you. But I see you. I see people that mean more to culture than the people running culture.
Yeah.
So know that, but I'm just saying, some people don't want to believe this shit. They don't want to buy into the black girl magic. They don't want to believe that black women will save the planet. I personally know, they will.
Whether they want to see it or not, you know, it's not my duty now. I've taken the burden of I've taken the burden of insecurity, jealousy, off of me that people continuously put on me or put on us to fix. Like, I can't fix your problem. If you want to be Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder to the situation, I bless you, brother. But the only thing I have to give you, I have no advice but a pair of shades, because I'm not turning nothing down over here. I'm going to continue shining. Shine fucking on. That's what black people do. We shine, we radiate, we glow.
Hold on, wait.
You see the price of you see the price of gold and melanin going up. You see our prices going up.
You got me hyped. You know, I start dancing.
No, I'm just saying. You see the price of gold and everything going up. It's because we are it. So it's just like, whether you see it or not, whether you want to see it or not, shades for you, because I'm never dimming it. I'm never dimming my light, and that goes for all of us. You know, Kenny, you live in that world, and to the people watching, like, it gets, you know, we're in this day and age now where we have to fix other people's problems. No, we already are dealing with 400 years of trauma, personal trauma, work trauma, relationship traumas, and then now on top of it, you want me to save myself from your trauma? No, thank you.
No, ma'am. I want to go through 4 things with you.
Yeah.
2015, you published Be You and Live Tools for Unlocking Your Potential and Living Your Purpose. And I like how you broke it down. It was quite clever.
Thank you.
And I remember we spoke somewhere together and you went through these points, and I wanted you to do it on the live because I think they're super necessary.
Okay.
Number 1, understanding motivation.
So with understanding your motivation, it's what gets you going, what drives you in the morning. Like, when you get up, it's not about a dollar value, who's going to see it. If a bank or Instagram didn't exist, would you still want to do it? You understand? Will you still find happiness in it? And that's what it's really about. Because if you hate your job and you hate working 40 hours a week, then you would hate being an entrepreneur. You have to really understand that motivation and what gets you going and what drives you and what fuels you. And I try to tell people, always make it positive. So when people are like, oh, my haters motivate me. No, negativity should never be the fuel. It should be your passion.
Woo!
It should be hard work.
Hold on. Hold up. Say that one more time.
Yeah. Like, when people say my haters are my motivators, no, because you have to realize gas makes a car go.
Come on.
So at the end of the day, it's like, what my motivation is hard work, is believing in myself. It's God, preparation, timing, all of those things, and giving myself grace. Those are the things that really motivate me to get me up and get me going, especially during this pandemic. You find ways to keep yourself motivated with, you may put little stickers on the wall, like in front of, in my room, on my door. I have questions I ask myself that I must answer. What am I blessed about? What made me smile? And what good deed will I do for the day? I have to answer those questions before I start, because I need to pour back into me, because we can't wait for society or everybody else to do stuff. So the best thing ever is just to motivate yourself and fill it with positivity.
Right. And
That's
then,
fun.
you know, you're tapping into self-motivation. You start to bridge to the next one. Your second one, self-motivation. And I love this because I always tell my sons, you cannot expect to go outside this house and get the type of love, dedication, and battering your back.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that shit for you out these doors. You have to be self-motivated. You have to go out here and kill what you eat. So talk about that.
And that's the biggest thing is just like, you have to put the cape on. Like Clark Kent, is his superhero. And that's really what it boils down to. We can't worry about these other people that we want. We're waiting to be fed compliments, because at the same way you're waiting to be fed by them, you will starve.
Come on.
So my biggest thing is just motivating and being excited for myself. So here are some tips you can do just for yourself. So one thing is, I have a blessing jar. So it's for the whole year. With this jar, I'll put a little note, a little something in it. Say, okay, today, me and Kenny had an incredible conversation on IG Live. I'm going to drop that in there. So I keep this jar for 365 days. At the end of the year, on January 1st, I turn it over and I count my blessings.
Come on.
You know what? I do that because we spend, unfortunately, our mentality makes us remember everybody we're cutting off, who did something bad to us, who hurt us, XYZ. So I like to start my year on a positive mindset to remember all the blessings and all the positive moments that happened in my life. So that's one. Yeah. Another thing is, when you're having those moments and those bad days and you want to go off, like if you're sitting in your car and you're at home, I press record. I talk to myself like, I can't believe, and before I get into the house, I say a mantra, I breathe, I delete it, and I go into my home, because after that, it no longer festers and sits in my mind. I release, and I let go. And that's how we have to start moving. And the last thing is, I have a journal. And with this journal it's a thankful journal. So at night, before I put my head to bed, to put my head to rest, is I write 5 things I was grateful for that day. It can be the smallest things. You know what? I found the parking in front of the nail salon. That was one of my things I was happy about. Super, super excited. Another thing, my air fryer came in. It could be the smallest, like, you know, you held the door for somebody. I had a great conversation with God. So it's just finding ways to continuously be your own superhero and show up for yourself. Because especially during COVID, it's hard. Because the trauma of us not being able to see one another. So I created something special just for this. I have this bowl and I put about 40 to 60 things in it. And every day I take one thing out and I do it. So it's the most random things. I put make pretzel bread. Another thing was like make sangria from scratch. Making. So if you have a family, do that. Just find ways to just like kind of pour into yourself and just really show up. It's really just about showing up for you. Whether you like it or not, just show up for you.
Yeah, and I love this one, and I'm going to stop it here because you have Living Civil is, we're all a witness to Living Civil.
And you civil?
I don't know about anybody would call me during the 3 o'clock hour, but positive attitude. Now for me, you know, and you know me quite well. I mean, you've seen my journey. I'm sucker free. Like I don't do sucker shit. I will leave $1 million a year because I don't feel right. Yeah. And it's because my attitude is always positive. If you see me mad, if you see me Burns turned up, it's a problem. Like, because I don't, that's not my light. And I love that was one of your 4 chapters, because you legitimately, like, that is so necessary to be open to receive. And it starts with having a positive attitude.
And that's something too I have to continuously teach myself is we have a choice. Do we want to open ourselves up like you said?
Hold on. You have a choice.
Yes.
Shit.
We have a choice. And like you said, are we going to be open to receiving the positivity, the greatness that comes from it? Or are we going to have the choice of sulking and being upset and taking away from our day? Taking away from our day we're not getting a lesson and we're not getting a blessing. So just always.
Hey, listen, got a choice, TKBS.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a negative, evil motherfucker. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be upset.
Yeah, you have a choice. Like you have a choice what you want to give your energy. And that's with everything. What you have a choice on what you want to give your energy, your priority, everything. That means I'm talking about how you bank, who you're friends with,
Come
who
on.
you engage with, what you listen to. We are in control of so many different factors of our life, and we don't realize that. So it's, I have a choice. And the person watching this too, you too, Ken, we all have a choice. And I want to open myself to open and receiving the blessing and understanding there are going to be oppositions that come our way. But at the same time, it's just like, I'm not going to have the fear of opposition, because that is lessons that need to be learned. So I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm going to take in everything the universe and God is trying to show me.
I want to say this, like, you know, just watching you grow, seeing you walk in your purpose, understanding your goals, right? Knowing the same person in fucking elementary school that I know today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the purpose of TKBS and these intimate conversations. But when I saw the Barack Obama's letter at Nipsey's funeral, I really was like, I'm so happy for her. And in this, you know, this was a tragic moment. The funeral was beautiful. The words that people said were beautiful. And I saw beauty in that moment for you. And I did, because I know how hard you work behind the scenes with Nipsey and YG, and just making all, and mind you, we had not had West Coast representatives like those two since the Chronic era. I mean, there have been artists, but the movement that these kids, YG and Nipsey Pacific, has started with West, I was like, and so to see you go through all the things you go through, and you're up there and you're reading a letter from Barack Obama.
And to touch on that, I wanted to, I never really got a chance to fully explain that whole situation. You know, 6 months prior, I lost my best friend Malcolm to a drug issue, and his funeral, unfortunately,
talking about Mac Miller, guys.
And you know, most people didn't realize, like, we had a small funeral, a personal funeral for him. It was only 20 of us. And with that, it was hard because, you know, you bury the person, like you get the shovel and you do certain things, and it was very traumatic, and it put me in a bad place. So with Nipsey, I did not want to be in that place. I wanted to feel more of a reminder of who he was, because I looked around my space and I saw the commitment that Nipsey has given to me and to so many people around him, and the commitment to his community, the commitment to just bettering his people. It's to a point of, he's the reason I have a bookshelf, and no book is allowed on my bookshelf until I've read it. And this is something that, like, he'll send you an email at 2 a.m. and he is like, here is the book list. Make sure you guys finish it and we'll rediscuss. I still have those emails where he'll send a text message of nothing but positivity. He feeds into, him and his queen, Lauren, feed into you, people you've never seen. So as much as I wanted to mourn, I thought about his legacy and his greatness, because me and him, we pretty much, I stopped working with him like end of 2017 when I did the Jordan campaign for him. So I didn't fully get to do the victory lap. And I again looked at God and I looked at the universe and I said, Karen, make this moment, let people, the world is mourning, allow this to be, if this is going to be a victory lap, a moment, allow us this to be a celebration of life as opposed to a funeral. Let's come together and be in a great place. So working with Khadijah and Malika, and you know, when Sam, his brother, reached out, he was like, at first we were going to do it on at the Crenshaw Funeral Home. Right. You know, it doesn't hold, unfortunately, it doesn't hold a lot of people. And when he called me in the middle of the night, that's when, you know, my brain started going. I said, this is Nipsey. We got to do it special. We have to really show this victory lap and take him to that place. So I made phone calls to people who knew what happened, what transpired. and were okay with helping. And one of the first people I called was Maverick Carter. And Maverick, you know, I owe him the most of for everything. I absolutely adore and love him because he's a real reason I started my like talking career. He was the first to ever make a company pay me my worth and see my value. So I called him and I gave him a big request. I said, hey, trying to do this Nipsey funeral, and we're not gonna, this place I don't even think holds more than 500 people. And he was like, well, what do you need? I said, I want Staples Center. And you know what he did?
Got you Staples Center, baby.
He got the gentleman, the president of Live Nation. It was a boxing event that same day. They paid for it. They moved it. They gave us, the employees came into work.
Wow.
They came into work. They created the site, Snapchat. I hit Trish at Snapchat, who worked to create content around that. Stevie Wonder was going through his own personal issues. He pushed his surgery back.
Wow.
To perform. And
wow.
It was so great, remarkable, to a point of just everything. If you happen to get the book, if you happen to get the Celebration of Life book, go through it with Nipsey's Marathon app, and you'll see videos and messages from Nipsey. Like, everything that was done was just in a sense of, he went home in such a beautiful manner to, I'm talking presidential, to just everybody understood the importance of him. From right. Rolls Royce giving us marathon flags, Platinum Motors giving us marathon flags, and doing a whole victory lap through every neighborhood. Because you know why? That was neighborhood Nip, you know, and he deserved it. And the last time I've seen a funeral to that capacity was Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And Nipsey deserved all of it. And it was so great to see so many people came in. Christian Louboutin made Nipsey blue shoes. Wow. You know, certain people made from the jewelry to just everything that was done. It was so many small touches and importance, and so many people gathered, and just everything, just everyone who came aboard and just showed the love and appreciation. And even with the Barack thing, Barack was on vacation. And I've already had a relationship going to the White House a few times. They had me speak. I reached out to a mutual friend, and he said, yeah, he's on vacation. And again, my response was,
I need this.
I said, I need this. Dust them feet off, put them chancletas on, and let's go. And he made it happen. And this is the best part. This is God right here. So the day before, we had the wake. The viewing.
Right.
For only close personal people. And my phone was turned off. I kid you not. I put it on silent. So it wasn't a lot of people there to, you know, to view him and to have last talks and conversations with him. He looked amazing. He just looked like he was going to go. I'm kidding, but he just looked so amazing and at peace. But I'm sitting there, and I started to cry, and I heard ping, and I said, what the hell? And I'm like, I turned my phone off. I look, and the letter from Barack Obama was the thing that pinged my phone. So I got it the day before. They sent me an emailed copy because they said they knew the viewing was today. So he got to hear Barack's words first before the world did. Wow. So I got to read it to him, and the day of his actual funeral, a gentleman walked up to me, I'm assuming who probably worked with FedEx or whoever he was, walked up to me and said, are you Karen Civil? And handed me the envelope.
Wow.
So it was like so hard to read on stage, but it just, Nipsey heard the words first. Always. Always.
Last time that I checked, wow.
So I
had to play some music because you was getting me emotional. I was like, wait.
Yeah, like it's to a point. It's so surreal, but that's who Nipsey is. Nipsey poured into so many people. He has such beautiful children, a beautiful wife. It's a testament to it all, from Samantha to Sam to his father to his mother to his beautiful wife Lauren to their children. Like, it's just so amazing. And I know people are like, everything that he ever spoke about, he would say to me, he's like, Karen, I know you love Hello Kitty, but I want to be the urban Sanrio. So when I see that Crenshaw sweater everywhere, I went to Haiti and I saw a Nipsey mural. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Crazy.
I went to Dubai and I saw a Nipsey mural, knowing that he is everywhere and everything that he wanted, the legacy and the things that are going to continuously happen and things that are getting ready to still happen is the greatest thing in the world. So he is somebody that I truly love, because it wasn't about him just being great and making money. He poured into everybody, like, to a point of wanting you to educate yourself to be better. And that's what I loved about him. And he's the reason that I went back and did that Harvard business program. It's because of him. Like, there's so many things. He's the reason why. And it's just a testament to continuing to have, like, quarantine taught me, like, I need to have good people and have good clients and not take every client, because there's not a lot of Nipsey Hustles out there, man.
Yeah.
It was only one, but nobody has the mindset and thought process. And I wish everybody really got to, like, have a full conversation with him. But he's such an incredible soul, man. He's such an incredible soul. And he's the reason why, like, during this quarantine, I've changed the way I've been handling my business and what's important, and making sure I'm pouring back into the community, because I can be honest and say I lost my way a little bit. And using this time, I realized, like, Karen, you have a platform and a voice, and these companies believe in you. So you need to make sure you amplify your voice for Black voices and do what Nipsey would want you to do. And that's the greatness that comes from it. And that's why it's like, now I no longer cry. I know Nipsey don't want tears. Nipsey wants change. So I'm just becoming the change that I know my friend would want to see, and I know my ancestors would want to see from me too.
Well, let me tell you, you fucking national treasure, you. You are ordained. Your journey is purposeful, and you are necessary. You have to double down on this superpower you have to connect with people and connect people with brain. And don't let up. I mean, this is, what you said was 100% the truth. This pandemic and us having to sit down and look in the mirror and reassess, to adapt and adjust, to pivot. It was all for this next wave. This next wave, this next offering Karen Silver about to give the world is the fucking offering. You hear me? You hear me? Last time I checked.
I will say this.
Sorry. Go ahead. What?
This space though is not even about, for so long it was about me. It's about making sure others around me and having those conversations. The way you called me,
but you are the speaker box. You are the speaker box. Don't you ever.
How you called and said to amplify. Now I'm just making sure I'm using my speaker box to amplify, especially with, the clients and things I have. A lot of them haven't been fair to Black women, or have said disparaging things, or haven't poured into the community. So I'm making it my duty. If you want to be a client, a company, we're not doing black boxes with white words. How are we building generational wealth? How are we not even just having from director levels or associate levels? I want executives on my projects. So I'm really excited. Like my Ithaca project, the new marketing executive I had them bring on, she is a Black woman, plain and simple. That's who I want handling my stuff. K-Swiss, it's going to be the same thing. A lot of the clients I worked with, we donated $500,000. And what's today? Wednesday?
Yeah.
And it's only Wednesday. So it's just like that right there. And I'm not talking to big organizations. I'm talking, there's some of them that are in here too. It's just to those smaller organizations who feel as though they're being overlooked. Everyone is going to get a chance to be seen. And that's the new wave of giving us a chance to be to get to that finish line. So yeah.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. Thank you
No,
so much, Kenny. This was the best conversation ever.
no,
Thank
I
you.
love you too, and I see you, and I see you, and
Thank
it's
you.
so ironic though. People won't know our full conversation, but it's so ironic. An opportunity came. I called you, and you talk about your story about CEO. That's creepy. That's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Go forth
I
and fucking kill and eat. You hear
I
me?
love you too. I got something eventually coming for you. We had to wait because a lot of stuff was happening.
That's all
So I
good.
didn't think people would be wanting gifts in the mail. But you know that thing to keep the family. I had to take care of the whole family because I know y'all not sharing there.
You always
So
you always do, and we appreciate you.
yeah.
Keep going, Karen.
All right.
Whenever.
Thank you.
Okay, love.
Bye.
Bye. Yo, I swear to God, if you don't love her, kill yourself. If you do not affectionately want to put your arms around her and lift her in the air like you at a Jewish wedding, just die. You should go on and just end your life. Tomorrow I got a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Please follow Karen if you don't. I saw a lot of people on there actually was like, I like her. It's my first. I mean, please follow her. She's amazing. And I love y'all, man. I hope y'all are receiving this because after I come back, I think I might go on vacation next week. I don't know. But when I come back, it's some shit that's going on. It's some shit that's going on that you want to be that you are involved with because you're TKBS Nation. Tomorrow, Corey Shapiro, Vintage Frames. And I'm giving some gifts out on the show. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.